for organising, Aris. It's great to be part of the first JS Monthly remote meetup. I think it's going very well, and I've learned heaps from the other three talks, so thank you for all of that. So thanks to everyone for sticking around as well. I know that it's getting late and there's a lot of information, but hopefully it's not going to be too full on this talk, and I've got some fun little demos that I'm going to do, so yeah, bear with me. Today I'm going to talk to you about machine learning and JavaScript, and I want to show you the simplest way to make your application more intelligent. So JavaScript isn't necessarily the first language that you think of when you say machine learning, but actually JavaScript is a great language to use with machine learning. It's incredibly portable. It works across all devices, including the browser, and the browser is highly interactive. So the browser has access to your webcam, text input, voice, mouse clicks, and then potentially GPS, depending on your hardware. There's a lot of potential for building machine learning applications, and you know there's a lot that you can. All these are data points that you can feed into a machine learning model, and some really interesting creative applications around those. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and I'm also going to, I'm not going to have any slides, I'm just going to be showing you a bunch of stuff on my browser. So I'm going to paste the links in case you want to follow up with any of these. And I'm going to share my screen with my browser, bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Tensorflow JS today. Tensorflow JS is by far the biggest library and tool around machine learning for JavaScript, and I think it's the most popular machine learning tool generally anyway. So there's three things you can do with Tensorflow JS. There is, you can develop machine learning with JavaScript. This is where you would build a model from scratch. There is two parts to this. There's one where you build every single little maths function, and there's some sort of maths functions that you can, maths utilities that you can use. And then there's a sort of higher level layers API, which again, if you have some machine learning knowledge, you can make use of. Then the second thing you can do is you can run existing models, and this is what I'm going to talk about a lot today. So you can, other people have trained these models and then they've made them available so that you can use them in your application. And then the third thing you can do is you can retrain existing models. So these existing models, you can use them and then use your own data to retrain the tail end of the model, and you can use it for your own bespoke whatever you need it for. So I'm going to show you what models are available. So the official TensorFlow JS website is tensorflow.org/JS. And if you go to models here, this will show you which ones are available. And you have ones for image classification, object detection, body segmentation. So this is finding parts of the human in real time. There's some stuff for processing text and language, speech recognition, and you can see all those on this GitHub here. So if I scroll down, all of these here, these are all the packages for each. And if you read the README, oh, am I actually showing my screen? Yes, I am, aren't I? Yeah. If you look at this, they give you a little description of each one here, and some of these have got a live link here. So if I show you PoseNet, so this is going to access my camera. It's just loading, one moment. Okay, so you can see here, these dots, what this model was doing is it is accessing my eyes, nose, ears, shoulders, and then if I stand up, it will also give me points on the arms, hips, knees, and ankles, I believe. So you can use those X and Y coordinates for various tasks. So that's PoseNet. One I'm going to talk a bit more about today is MobileNet. This is a really interesting one. So MobileNet is it's actually an architecture of a model. They're quite small, but they're pretty powerful, and they're sort of designed to. I mean, image classification is quite an intense machine learning task, but these are quite good, and these ones that you can use with JavaScript accept an image, video, or canvas element just passed to it. So all of these pre-trained models are available on CDN and your script tags, or you can get them from NPM. And I'm going to show you a code pen which I have made. That's in the links if you want to have a look more. I'll just check the chat. Okay, everybody's okay. So this is something that I made just to show you quite how simple it is to load a pre-trained model from Tensorflow JS. And this one is for image classification. So what this one here is doing is literally, it's just a video feed. I can hold up these objects in front of it. So here I've got a electric fan. Hopefully it's gonna. Hold up the other ones. Is it gonna get this one? Yeah, it's got teddy bear. And what else do I want to use? Is it gonna get my coffee mug? Yeah. So taking a look at this code, I've got two script tags here. I'm loading the minified Tensorflow JS, which is a dependency of MobileNet. And so both of these are available on CDN. And then I've just got two elements where I'm logging the predictions, and then the video is the video feed beneath it. So I'm calling one function. So this whole app is basically just a few lines of code. I'm calling init on load, and then I'm synchronously loading this MobileNet model. Then I'm grabbing the video element, and I am turning on the webcam. So for those of you who have never used, weren't sure how to turn on the webcam, this navigator object, it's part of the web API. It's available on all browsers. If you can have a read about it on Mozilla and things. And then I am grabbing this header tag and logging the, I'm calling model.classify, where I'm passing this video tag. And I'm just doing a bit of tidying up to display it beneath. So I want to show you what's happening in the network tab. If I refresh this, I wanted to show you what a model will look like and what files are loaded. Okay, so if I go to the JS tab, you can see there's the Tensorflow JS file, and then I've got this MobileNet one here. And even though this is minified, there is a massive object here of the readable text of things that can classify. So they are quite random. There's a bunch of dog breeds, I'm not sure why, some exotic animals, and also some a fair few everyday objects as well. So they are a bit strange, but again, it just depends on whatever your model has been trained on, what images your model has been trained on. This one, MobileNet was trained on a huge data set called ImageNet, which is a big sort of open source group of images that are used quite a lot in machine learning. And then if you go here, I want to show you they've got this model.json, which has a bunch of metadata about your model and the weights. And then if you have a look here, we've got these absolute mammoth files, which come in shards of binary data. And these are big. So these are all 4 meg each. So it takes a fair amount to load this. However, once it is loaded in your browser, it runs in your browser, okay? So there's no, it's doing these image predictions now, but there's no more network requests being made here, okay? So everything is staying within the browser, and my data, the video stream, is not being sent off to any, it's not being sent off to any server or anything. So using machine learning and running these models in the browser has a lot of implications for building privacy-friendly apps. Perhaps if you had, you know, medical apps and things, you might, ones where you want to protect user data quite a lot. Right then, where did I get to? So another one I wanted to show you, this is on the TensorFlow blog. If you go to this TensorFlow blog and then you can filter by TensorFlow JS, there's a bunch of TensorFlow, the TensorFlow team are often releasing new pre-trained models all the time. And this one got released a couple of months ago. So it's called Facematch, and there's also one called Hand Pose. And just like that PoseNet one I showed you earlier, it basically will pick all these points on your face and give you the X and Y coordinates, X, Y, and Z actually. So there's also whatever hardware you have, depending on performance with your backend, and then you can install it with npm or via the script tag, as we mentioned before. And then you call facemesh.load asynchronously, just like you did with MobileNet. And then instead of calling classify, this time you call estimate faces and pass it the video tag. And then you have this results object is basically, it includes 468 landmarks within the face. So face and view confidence, and then all of these X, Y, Zs, and there's a lot of data in there. And then likewise with this hand pose model, you can call model.estimate hands, and you get this huge object back full of the coordinates and things. And you can do some really cool things with this data. So you know, obviously accessibility, being able to build accessible applications where you can use certain movements as controllers and things might be an implication for that. So I'm going to show you a couple of fun little demos now, which people have made using this face mesh. This first one is called AR Face Studio. I'm just going to check the chat, check nobody's. Okay, all good. So I'm going to So this one here, it lets you draw on your face. I'm going to draw some nice squiggles here and maybe change the color. That would do. And then it will map it completely to your face so that you are moving around and these follow you around. So this one was made by a guy called Cyril Diagno. You can see the link to that in the ones I've shared. And the second one I wanted to show you was Shader Booth. So there you go, laser eyes, pow. This is using, the other one was using Three.js, that one I just showed you. This one is actually using WebGL shaders. So if you ever wanted to try your hand at that, this code here that's on the screen is, you can change it. So if I change, I don't know, this here, it will change the color. So this is a nice way if you ever wanted to have a go at, you know, using that. But yeah, this is also loading the Facematch pre-trained model, and you can find out more information about it on here and look at the code, source code. And you can also go through, he's got loads of different ones which are really quite fun. They're very similar to sort of Instagram filters, and the guy who built this, Mike Bitka, I listened to a talk with him recently where he was describing this. He was talking about how, you know, Instagram is quite not very open source. They kind of own, when you create a filter and upload it, it's he wanted to make something a bit more open source. So this is quite fun, and also a good way to learn about shaders if you wanted to. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk to you about is transfer learning. So if you remember from the very beginning when I was talking about the 3 things you can do with Tensorflow JS, I've talked about the pre-trained models, but then there's something called transfer learning, which is when you retrain your existing model. So those giant binary files I was showing you on that MobileNet example, they are what's called weights, which are just numbers. They're just parameters. If you want to learn about machine learning and you want an introduction to know more about what these weights are, there's a really, really good introduction tutorial. I've shared the link in that list by 3 Blue 1 Brown. I think it's in there. You'll find that in there. This one here, do watch that. If you don't know what neural networks are and you want to know how they work, do have a look at that. But basically, the aim of building a model is to get all these weights and parameters, and you can do something called transfer learning and grab the end layer of your model and retrain it with your own data. So on this TensorFlow JS website, if you go to the tutorials, they've got a couple of ones for image classification, and you can use something called CodeLab, which is like a tutorial thing that Google make as well, so you can follow it on there. It's using MobileNet again. So I know in the demo I showed you, it was coming up with some quite random stuff, and it wasn't. This is because it's sort of a sample to show us that MobileNet is used a lot with transfer learning. Okay, so I want to show you now something that's using transfer learning with MobileNet under the hood. So this is something called Teachable Machine, and this is probably the easiest ever way you can train a model with your own data and use it in your application. So if I go to get started, so you can do either an image project, audio project, or pose project. If I click on image project, you can either do webcam or upload. If I do webcam here, I'm going to do left hand, and then I'm going to click hold to record. And then I'm going to do right hand here. Oh, no, it's not my right hand. And then I'm going to add an extra class and do no hands. And then hold this to record, collect a few images. Okay, so here we've got 3 different classes, and there is only 17 images here, 40 here, and 12 in the 3rd class. So that is hardly any images. Image classification, you need a huge amount of images to train a model from scratch. And this, because it's using this MobileNet under the hood, it's you can just train it with a few of your own images. So that's incredible, really. So if I'm going to click train model, it is now training this right in the browser. It usually pops up with a tab saying, a little thing saying don't switch tabs. So So it's just going to be training this. Okay, and now we're in the preview here, and it's saying no hands. Then I do left hand, right hand, left hand. Okay, and then you can go to export model, and then you can download the model yourself and just have the code, or you can upload it and they'll let you host it for free. And then you can have, this is here showing you how you can use your own model with a webcam. So you still need to add Tensorflow JS with the CDN here. It's a dependency of this Teachable Machine package. And then you need to add these to URLs with your shareable link at the beginning. And then you call await image tmimage.load and pass it your two URLs. And then it will give you things like what predictions are available. And then if you set up a webcam, it's got a helper utility function to do that through tmimage. And then you can run it in your own application. So this is really quite simple. This is a really quick and easy way to get started with adding machine learning to your application. Okay, so hopefully I have encouraged you to think about how you can get started with adding a machine learning model, a pre-trained machine learning model to your application, or maybe you've thought of some fun and interesting ways you can build an application around one of these pre-trained models. And it's important to say you do not have to be an expert in machine learning these days to use machine learning, particularly as a JavaScript developer. You can build applications which use these pre-trained models and, as I mentioned before, send data in new and in creative ways to come up with some really interesting applications. So machine learning is getting abstracted away, and there's also APIs. So you might have come across various APIs that all the big cloud providers, there's Google's AutoML, there's Azure's cognitive services, IBM Watson. You can use all of these to send your data off to somewhere and use these pre-trained models on a server somewhere, but also update it with your own data. So yeah, that's generally everything I have to show you. I've shared the link to the AI JavaScript London meetup that I run. If you want to join that, we have speakers more about this subject if you're interested in it. And I will probably lead you to the last link, which is this coding train one. So if you want to watch some tutorials, there's some on the TensorFlow JS one, but this guy, Dan Schiffman, he does these on called the coding train, and they're really good. And I highly recommend them because he has a heap of interesting fun demos on getting started with TensorFlow JS, Teachable Machine, something called ML5 JS, which hugely abstracts away any coding really, and a bunch of other stuff on like animation and stuff if you're interested. Okay, so I think that's it from me. So thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. Like I want to start using it straight away. I think a lot of other people as well. Yeah, we should all move to your meetup and see more of that. So definitely do that. I also took like a small video while you were talking, and I put it on Twitter. So yeah, I'm pretty excited